Hi there, it's Cheiron Brandon, and I'm guest designing today for Waffle Flower Crafts. Thanks Nina for having me, and today I'm going to show you how to make an art journal page using a couple of my favorite Waffle Flower sets. So I'll be using the Flutter set, the Pattern Play set, and the Doily Circle set. I'll also be using the Doily Circle die, which looks like this, and I'll show you that a little bit later. The first thing I'm going to do is use the Doily Circle stamp, and I'm going to stamp that in a few colors of archival ink to start creating my background. The first color that I'll be using is called Tea Rose, and it looks like this. I'm just going to stamp that in a few places on my page. And I'll stamp it off the page a little bit. And I'm going to clean my stamp real quick, and then I'll ink the stamp up with Magenta Hue, which is also an archival ink color. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is use the die that I showed you before to create the focal point of my project. And I'm going to use this Doily Circle die, and how I'm going to color it in is using some Distress Spray stain. So this stain is great for small dies where you don't want to paint on top of them. Just give it a little bit more spray and rip it, because they rip really easily when they get wet. So I'm going to dry it with a heat tool. Okay, once it's nice and dry, I'll just wipe my craft sheet off. I'm going to use some matte medium, and this is just Ranger matte medium. And that's how I'm going to adhere it to my project. It's a lot easier to use matte medium than to use something like an adhesive runner with these kind of dyes. They tend to rip if you play around with them too much. So I'm just going to coat the entire piece of the die with the matte medium. And then once I'm done, I'm going to use my die pick again just to carefully lift it up so I don't rip it. Just going to give the craft sheet a quick wipe and bring my page back to the table. And I'm just going to add this on, so the focal point of my page will be right up here. Once that's done, I want to put some words on my page, but I first want to put something over that doily. So I'm going to cut out a heart from the Flutter set, and I'll just stamp that on some white cardstock. When I cut that out, I'm just going to leave a little white border around it. I'll also use some matte medium to adhere the heart to the page. So I'm just going to put that right on top of the doily. And then I'm going to add a few more things to my background. The first thing that I'm going to add is a stitched heart, and I'm going to stamp that in archival ink as well in deep purple. So I'm just going to add a couple of those to the page. And then I'm going to add a few smaller hearts from the Flutter set as well. So some of them overlapping, and I'll add some of them into the white space. And I think that's good. The next thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit more layers with the stamp from Pattern Play. And I'm not going to stamp the entire stamp across the page. I'm just going to have it hang off the page in different spots. I'm actually going to just do a little bit more here. Maybe a line or two up on top, and I think maybe coming down from the top. I'm actually going to turn my paper sideways just to get a better look at where everything is coming from. And I think that's good for now. The last thing I'm going to add to this page today is just a stamped sentiment. So there are 2 small sentiments in the Smile set that I'll be using. I'm just going to stamp those in black archival. Cutting out the sentiment with my scissors. And I'm just going to use some matte medium to glue that down as well. And the page is done. I hope you enjoyed watching my video, and thank you to Nina again for having me. For more information, go to waffleflowercrafts.com.